It's mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle and Stone. The Atlantic never forgives. It hurls itself against South Uist like a wounded god. And in the salt spray, the old ones still hear the same cry that has ridden these breakers for 800 years. Aganyan Coherige! Aganyan Coherige! There, where the machair meets the roaring minch, where the Selkie women comb their hair on moonlit sands, the MacDonalds of Clan Ranald stood, proud as the stag, fierce as the tide, last true lords of the Western Isles. This is their school. It's mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle and Stone. Long ago, a red white-tailed sea eagle soared above the silver strands of South Uist. It swooped low from the clouds and called thrice above Ranald, youngest son of the great Somerled line, with a cry that echoed across the Minch. It dropped a silver salmon from its talons, glistening into the lap of young Ranald. From the eagle's fierce call and the salmon's silver scales came a voice like breakers on ancient rock. Guard these isles until the last peat fire dies and the last Gaelic song is forgotten. He swore on the standing stones of the machair. The salmon launched itself from his lap back into the breaking surf. The red eagle circled once more as witness, and the waves surged in answer. The oath still rides every breaker that crashes against Uist's western shore. Listen, the sea and sky are still listening. Cuimhnich. From that eagle and salmon vow came Clan Ranald, children of Ranald, sons and daughters of the Long Island. They held the ancient seat of Castle Tioram on its tidal rock, yet their true stronghold was the dunes that hid them, the machair that fed them, and the pride that armed them across the Long Island. Every chief who took the name carried the eagle and salmon promise in his blood. No crown would ever own these isles, while a Clan Ranald heart still beat. The burn ran red when the heather bloomed. The pipes answered every sunset. The tri-lin of 3 galleys flew above black houses no redcoat ever found, and the gulls wheeled screaming over the stag banner. For centuries they ruled by the old laws. Gaelic judges sat beneath rowan trees on the machair, weighing honour against honour. Seanchaidh sang the night full of heroes, until the gulls themselves fell silent to listen. Women stood taller than any man, their counsel colder than the winter minch, their eyes older than the standing stones of Cuimhnich. Their black galleys, stag-headed, sailed the Hebridean seas, heirs of the Lordship of the Isles, answering only to the wind and the tide. Yet blood calls to blood, and pride answers pride. Clan Ranald and MacLeods tore each other across the Sound of Harris until the very waves ran red. At Bloody Bay in 1481, they fought their own cousins for the right to call themselves MacDonald, and the sea itself turned red for 3 tides. And while the dirks flashed and the fires rose, the Crown in Edinburgh smiled quietly and waited for the Isles to bleed themselves weak. When the Jacobite star rose, Clan Ranald answered first. Young Ranald of Clan Ranald brought the very first 700 men to Glenfinnan, barefoot, hungry, singing. The prince kissed the tri-lin banner himself. 9 months later, Almost every one of them lay dead on Culloden Moor, the banner trampled in the mud. The eagle wheeled above the moor, and the salmon's silver leap was remembered in every burn that flowed red. The moor drank deeper than it ever had before. Then came the sheep and the silence. The same chiefs who had followed Clan Ranald to the moor now followed London fashion and London debt. Isles that had roared with pipes and children fell quiet. The coffin ships left from Loch Boisdale, heavy with Clan Ranald folk bound for Otago and the far south. They stood on the decks with the machair at their backs and the tears on their faces, and the fire did not sail with them. It stayed behind, watching over a coast growing emptier by the year, and the silence never truly lifted. Today, a black house in Howmore that once held 12 souls and 3 generations of Gaelic lullabies is a holiday let with a sign that reads, "No pets, no smoking, no bagpipes after 10. A child can grow from cradle to grave on the long island and never once hear a song in the language of our ancestors, unless it is sung for tourists on a coach tour. The flame is kept alive in Dunedin Cayleys and Wellington kitchens, but here, where it was born, it gutters in the salt wind. The victory still tastes of ash, only quieter now, and colder. Yet the machair still blooms white in June. The tide still comes in twice a day past Castle Tioram. The MacDonalds of Clan Ranald are scattered from Uist to New Zealand, from Glasgow to Nova Scotia. But every one of them knows the road home ends where the red white-tailed sea eagle soared and the silver salmon leaped. You will still hear their pipes on a summer's night above Loch Ennard. You will still meet a MacDonald in Invercargill who can recite 20 generations without a stumble. You will still find a child on the strand at Dalibra who dreams of the stag-headed galleys and wakes with the piercing call of a red sea eagle or the silver flash of a salmon, though the machair lies quiet. Because the oath is not broken, because the red white-tailed sea eagle is still watching, because the sea is still listening. Castle Tioram's stones remember the burning, set alight by its own chief to deny the enemy. Loch Boisdale keeps its secrets. The red white-tailed sea eagle still soars above the machair, and the silver salmon still leaps in the burns. The promise delivered by the eagle and the salmon to the first Ranald is calling again. Not for kings, not for chiefs, but for the isles themselves, for the language, for the children who should be born to the sound of Atlantic breakers speaking the old tongue. Clan Ranald of Uist, of Otago, of Cape Breton, wherever the sheep and the factors scattered you, the peat fire is down to embers. The tide is turning. Will you answer? Aganyan Coherige! Aganyan Coherige! Cuimhnich an Iasc Argid is an Shabig derg vara a hanig vun. Remember the silver salmon and the red eagle that came to us, and come home. It's me Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle and Stone. Cuimhnich. 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 Falcha, Gu, Cuimhnich. The memory lives until next time. Cuimhnich!